Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Nandana Raja Janarandana Yashoda Nandana Raja Janarandana Nativa Vanachara Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Janavalabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Raja Janarandana Shodanandana Raja Janarandana Nativa Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Samasundara Samasundara. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Paramahamsa Parivadikacharya Sudhar Sudhar Divine Guest Abhachan Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Iskan Pamacharya Divine Guest Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivadikacharya Sudhar Sudhar Divine Guest Srila Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Anand Puri Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Vidas Thakur Ki Jai Princess Goshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sri Gaura Bhakti Ki Jai Shri Shiva Hare Krishna Gopal Sham Radha Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Madhur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Kandarajman Bhagavad-gita Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories, Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to the Bhagavad Ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees tonight to discuss and cover the overview of Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. This chapter has 29 verses. Let us do the invocation. Om Jnanatimivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sadevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Covering Bhagavad-gita as it is, based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So let us cover Chapter 4 overview. Who likes to share any points that they learned from yesterday's overview, something that you found very interesting, something that you really want to take to heart and apply in your life? Anyone would like to share either on the chat, on YouTube, or even on, you can unmute and share.
Mute.
Yes, Hari Bhakti Dasi, you can
Hare
speak.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We should surrender to Krishna and he will reward you. And we don't need to look for any cheaters or anything. Krishna is the honest truth, so he will fulfill all your desires.
Yes, Krishna will reward one as one surrenders to Krishna. Krishna rewards equally. And if one is looking for a cheater, then Krishna will reward you a cheater. If one is looking for a sincere spiritual master, then Krishna will also reward you with a sincere spiritual master. Very good. Yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Kamavati Radhika said, be grateful, appreciate others' sacrifice, don't discourage, encourage. Yes, very wonderful point. In fact, Srila Prabhupada was in Mayapur one time, and he was walking with all the leaders across the globe, all the temple presidents. And as they were walking one by one, all the presidents, they started complaining, oh yeah, Srila Prabhupada, this person like this and this like this. And one by one, they were all complaining. Eventually, Srila Prabhupada stopped at one point. He took his cane and from one end, from the left hand, he swung his cane to the right side. And as he swung his cane from the left to the right, he said, all of you have come simply to discourage, and I have come simply to encourage. And then he swung his cane back to the left and swung it again to the right and said the same thing 3 times. All of you have come simply to discourage. I have come simply to encourage. And then Srila Prabhupada did this 3 times and continued walking. And all the devotees then started saying, oh yes, we're sorry we said this. Yes, actually there are devotees that are engaged nicely, etc. And they started encouraging. So yes, we want to encourage and not discourage. Mother Jahnavi said, the more we surrender, the more the reward. Correct. As you surrender more and more, Krishna reciprocates and surrenders more and more. Amavati Radhika said also, we need Krishna. Krishna doesn't need us. Correct. So even though we are part and parcel of Krishna and we are Krishna's family, so Krishna does, Krishna desires that we come home. Prabhupada says he wants us to come back home more than we desire, but still in one sense, Krishna is Atmarama, he's complete, and he's got unlimited devotees serving him. It is we who need Krishna more than Krishna needs us. So yes, very good. Mother Hari Bhakti, you want to say something else?
We are blessed to have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada because he is a true disciple of Krishna and he's a true spiritual master, and he would definitely lead us back to Godhead.
Yes.
As per Guru Maharaj's words.
Definitely. We are blessed to be connected to Srila Prabhupada. And this is not a sentimental statement. Just like we find, every organization will make the same point, right? Our spiritual teacher is the best. But if we begin to analyze Srila Prabhupada's unique position and also the disciplic succession that we connected to, it is no ordinary disciplic succession. This disciplic succession, the Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnav disciplic succession with its different acharyas are very, very, very unique in that they are close associates of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, very close intimate associates, and therefore they know the pastimes and the truth of Radha and Krishna. And that is how we have access to this wonderful lineage and knowledge. Right, quite a few have typed. I'm just going to read through them. Manohar said, I learned that we must not have doubts. Yes, and we need to clear all those doubts through transcendental knowledge, to questioning, inquiring. Sukadev Goswami said, we must be happy to hear about Krishna. Correct. The more we develop a taste to hear, and when we develop a taste to hear, that means we are advancing in Krishna consciousness. We don't need the frills, we don't need the entertainment, simply hearing the glories of Krishna. that means we are advancing. So it's a way we can measure ourselves. Are we advancing in Krishna consciousness? Are we developing a taste to hear? We should know what action is and what inaction is. Mother Janavi said, yes. We must work for Lord Krishna's happiness, Nimai Thakur said, very good. We have to understand that if we do this, if we please Krishna, we become pleased. This is the science. Mukund said, learn about the importance of disciplic succession. Yes, definitely. Mother Rasastali said, all sacrifices are approved by the Vedas. One must perform sacrifice. It cleanses our sinful reactions. Finally, sacrifice should be performed in knowledge. Correct. We must work without attachment to the results. Very good. And on YouTube, Newton said, we must get so wrapped up in the material world. We get so wrapped up in the material world and its attachments, and it's never enough. We always struggle to get more. Instead, we should endeavor to take one step closer to Krishna. Very good. Material wealth is left behind. We only take our spiritual credits with us. Yes, make sure you're putting your credits in the right bank account. Do not put it, not that we shouldn't put it into the material bank account. We should put the bare necessity into the material bank account. Just like when you open up a bank account, then they want you to make sure there's a minimum fee there, right? $50 a month. So you need to have that minimum fee to keep that account open. Similarly, in the material world, we need to keep the bank account open to make sure we have the bare necessities of life to keep soul, body and soul together. And the rest of our energy time should be used in the service of Krishna. That will be to our eternal credit. Very good. I like to share in regards to chapter 4, Krishna was explaining that one should surrender to a spiritual self-realized soul, a spiritual teacher who can reveal the truth to you. And Srila Prabhupada said that a disciple should be thoughtful, independently thoughtful. We shouldn't be just accepting necessarily what the spiritual master is saying without faith or without understanding. We should always be thoughtful, and we should always be questioning and clarifying our doubts. So there's a beautiful example of a spiritual master, and he would take a horse ride. He would take a horse and sit on the horse, and he would go from village to village. So one day he was on the horse with his disciple, and the disciple was walking next to the horse, and they were going for their service. And it so happened that something fell of the spiritual master on the ground. And later when they came back, they noticed that something was missing from the spiritual master. So the spiritual master asked a disciple, did you see something fall? And he said, no, Guru Maharaj, I didn't see anything. So then the disciple ran on the path again, and sure enough, they found the item that had fallen off from the horse that belonged to the spiritual master, and he brought it back. And the spiritual master told him, see, if anything falls from the horse, you should pick it up. So he said, yes, Guru Maharaj, whatever falls from the horse, I will pick it up. So the next day, they're going for service, preaching, and the spiritual master was on the horse, disciple was walking behind, and as they were going, the horse passed cow dung, horse dung, and the dung fell to the ground, and the disciple picked up the horse dung, and they came to the destination, and the spiritual master was thinking, was wondering what's smelling like that, and then he noticed that the disciple had the horse dung, and he asked the disciple, what you doing? And the disciple said, see, Guru Maharaj, you told me whatever falls from the horse, I must pick up. And the spiritual master said, you fool, go wash, go bathe in the Ganges, wash and come back. So he came, washed, came back. And the spiritual master said, see, I'm going to give you a list, go back, bring a pen and paper. So he bought pen and paper, and he said, right, if Bhagavad-gita falls, you pick it up. If my lota falls, you pick it up. My danda falls, you pick it up. My chada falls, you pick it up. So he gave him a whole list, wrote, whatever falls, this is what you pick up. And you keep this list. So kept the list. Next day, they're going on the journey again. And a snake passed the horse, and the horse in fear stood, with its hind legs stood up, and the spiritual master with all the paraphernalia fell to the ground. The disciple, he took his list out and said, okay, Danda picked it up, Bhagavad-gita picked it up, Chada picked it up, picked up everything that was on the list besides the spiritual master. And then the spiritual master said, why are you not picking me up? And the disciple said, but Guru Maharaj, you're not on the list. So this is the challenge. We don't want to be disciples that are not thoughtful. We want to be thoughtful. And today's chapter 5 is very, very wonderful. If we contemplate on this chapter, we will find that and apply what Krishna is telling us, we will see that we will make rapid advancement. Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So if we look at chapter 2, chapter 2 was discussing transcendental knowledge about the soul. Chapter 4 was discussing transcendental knowledge about Krishna. Now, if you take chapter 2, transcendental knowledge of the soul, plus chapter 4, transcendental knowledge of Krishna, and you apply it on chapter 3, which is Karma Yoga, how to work, how to act, then you get chapter 5, which is Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. In essence, it's Bhakti Yoga. So knowledge, if you know these subject matters, if you know chapter 2, know chapter 4, that means knowledge of the soul, knowledge of Krishna, and you apply that, you will get an edge to spiritual, to living in this world. That is the power of Krishna conscious knowledge. Now, just to illustrate this aspect of the power of knowledge, when you have knowledge and you apply it in your life, you will find that your perspective to life, how you deal with life, how you respond to situations in life will be drastically different from people who don't have this knowledge. I'm going to show you a video. And as I show you the video, consider 2 questions. One is in relation to that video that you're going to see, in relation to you. Are you significant? And are your problems significant? We all have different problems. How significant are those problems? And I'm going to show the video. Naturally, some of the things in the video we may not, it may not be 100% in terms of Krishna conscious philosophy, but at least 90% of it is there. And there may be things which are even beyond what is presented in the video, but it will give you a clear understanding that if you have knowledge, if you have a different perspective, then you will see the world totally different.
Our universe, a vast and mystical place, yet full of mystery. How big is it? Why are we here? Is there a higher being up there? To answer these, we first got to look deep within ourselves, really, really deep, to what makes us, and ultimately, the universe. At the universal domain of tininess, these are quantum foams atop one-dimension strings, the fabric of space-time itself, going any smaller would defy the laws of physics. This is the smallest thing in existence, a Planck particle. The next smallest thing are quintillion times bigger. Everything in our universe are made up of these particles defined by the standard model. They are responsible for mass, electromagnetism, gravity, and radioactive decay. The smallest of them is the electron neutrino, so small it weighs against even the smallest quark. These are quarks which combine to form composite particles, the most familiar being the protons and neutrons. This wave is from the photon, the light particle. Zooming further, we pass by electrons and reach the Higgs boson, the particle responsible for mass. And finally, we made it to what we're all familiar with, protons and neutrons, some of which combine to form atomic nucleus, the largest being element 118. Yet, the nucleus is a tiny fraction of the atom. Electrons in quantum motion orbits this vast empty space, and at last, the atom. Big, huh? Our body alone is made up of 1 octillion atoms, with cesium being the largest. Some of these bond to form the 4 building blocks of life: proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and DNA. The wonders of nanotechnology exist here. This is a typical view of an electron microscope. The land here is ruled by viruses, so small yet deadly. For example, HIV claims millions annually. We zoom out to bacteria. Our body alone has an astonishing 100 trillion of them. These are cells that makes up life. Every single one of our 40 trillion cells contains 20 billion pairs of DNA genome. We reach the landscape of some of the smallest animals. At this scale, even a flea looks like something straight off a horror movie. Ugh. A rice grain and an ant. We're getting more familiar. Oh, would you look at that Genius Channel advertisement on the iPhone? And here's your daily dose of nightmare. Enjoy. Do be grateful they didn't grow as big as us. And this is where we stand, created by the very laws of the macroscopic world, to create the vast macroscopic world beyond us. Marvel of the fascinations of the animal kingdom, and its biggest land mammal, the elephant. Yet, the ocean dwells even larger creatures. For example, the giant squid, the Jurassic World mosasaur, and a blue whale, the largest animal ever existed. But history produced even greater creatures, a jet-sized flying creature, a dinosaur longer than a blue whale, and another taller than a 5-story building. Still dwarf in comparison to the tallest living organism, the Hyperion tree. But we scale higher with aerodynamic technology. And behold, the largest thing to ever flew the skies, the Hindenburg. We have also conquered the seas with naval technology. Behold, the Poseidon the sea, Yael Viking. And we've reached higher than ever, building architectural masterpieces towering city skylines, even exceeding natural wonders. We've not only exceeded vertically, but horizontally as well. Yet nature always outdo us, forming landforms reaching incredible heights. But our species spread wide and far. Yet space is a whole new frontier. These are the moons of other planets, vast areas of unexplored regions, climate, and landscape awaits. As we zoom out from moons to planets, we ask ourselves, where are we? That's here. That's Earth. On it, everyone you ever know, every religion, every ideology, every conflict, every experience, every saint and sinner in history of our species live out their lives in a speck of dust, suspended in space. The sun, a ball of superheated gas, can fit 1 million Earth inside of it, yet our sun is tiny compared to the really big stars out there. Polaris, over 10,000 times bigger than our sun. Pistol Star, 3,000 times larger than Polaris. If it was our sun, it would have reached far out as Mars. And then there's this monster, UY Scusi, the largest star ever discovered, 1 billion times bigger than our sun. The expanse of our solar system. Yet, it's just one of many solar systems in our galaxy, one of them being the TRAPPIST-1 star system, believed to house 7 planets with life. Passing by Saturn orbit, witness the largest black hole and abyss among these interstellar beauties. We have reached the distance light travels in a year, just reaching the nearest stars. At this scale, a space shuttle would take hundreds of millions of years to cover. These spectacular objects you see are called nebulas. There are interstellar regions of clouds and stardust, the largest and probably most boring named one being this, NGC 604. But they are accompanied by stars, lots of them. Some have dozens of planets. As we traverse our Milky Way, could there be someone, somewhere out there, among billions of stars and trillions of planets, thinking, do we exist? Our Milky Way, home to 100 billion stars, our sun being just one of them, is just one of trillions of galaxies out there, each with billions of stars, and some are really, really big. IC 1101, the largest galaxy. It contains 100 trillion stars and 1 quadrillion planets. Could there be one with life? Galaxies merge to form galaxy clusters. Each speck you see here is not a single star, but a whole galaxy of stars, seen as one. Laniakea, a supercluster of 100,000 galaxies. In just one of many superclusters in the Physis-Cetus supercluster complex, with many other supercluster complex, form the vast cosmic web. And eventually, our universe. Here lies everything. Or does it? What if there's a universe, one where Hillary Clinton became president, one where Hitler won the war, or the dinosaur never went extinct? What if there are parallel universes with different timelines? How many would there be? A lot. In just 1 second, anything could happen. This is the number of parallel universes in the next second alone. A number so big it's just the number of digits it have. Anything from your crush texting you now to this video hangs happens here. Yet, since the Big Bang, unimaginable numbers of parallel universes have formed. Every possible event imaginable, every alternate timeline conceivable. Everything within the laws of physics, every possible outcome throughout all of space-time itself exists here. Parallel universe. Yet, could there even be other parallel universes with different laws of physics, other dimensions, and even colors we can't see? Alternate universe with everything we can't ever imagine nor comprehend. The multiverse.
Yes. No.
So very, very clear. There are unlimited number of universes, and we know that from the cyclic succession, from Krishna himself. And the living entity in 2nd chapter we heard is Sarvagata, all-pervading. So every part of that video that showed different parts of the universe, every single space is filled with living entities. And if you look at how insignificant we are, how insignificant that we don't even feature from a higher dimension, a higher perspective. That's just from a creation perspective. What to talk about from a time perspective. So when we really begin to see ourselves in relation to the greater whole, then we begin to appreciate who we are and what we should actually do. So chapter 5 summary, outwardly performing all actions, but inwardly renouncing their fruits. The wise man purified by the fire of transcendental knowledge attains peace, detachment, forbearance, spiritual vision, and bliss. This chapter has 5 divisions that we're going to start covering. First section is about Nishkam Karma, which is equal to but easier than renouncing work. So first verses from 1 to 3, Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" So Krishna had explained what is Buddhi Yoga, what is renounce work. Krishna clarified it for Arjuna. Now Arjuna wants to know, of the two, which one is more beneficial? The Supreme Personality of God replied, "The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Of one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcome material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna." So renunciation is there even in the process of bhakti yoga. Even in devotional service, renunciation is there. And Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar Devotion gives a very beautiful definition of Yukta Vairagya. And he says, when a person eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. So you get incomplete renunciation called Falgu renunciation, which is renouncing things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking they're material with the desire for liberation. Complete renunciation is called Yukta Vairagya, which means that everything, we understand that everything belongs to the Lord, we should use everything in his service and do not claim anything for our own as proprietors. So that's true renunciation. Verses 5 and 6, only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, has been different from analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these parts achieves the result of both. So we have Sankhya, and we see in the picture, Sankhya means analytical study. We try to analyze from the Vedic understanding, we try to analyze the material world, its elements, its structure, etc., the source. So Sankhya means we try to find the source and become detached from matter. Whereas devotional service is knowing the source, which is the roots, which is Krishna, and simply watering that. So the goal is the same. In Sankhya, we try to find the source, and when we find the source, we then water the source, water the root. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, in devotional service, we are told what that source is, we simply engage in serving that source. Text 5. One who knows the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. So very, very, very clear. What Krishna is saying, that if you just renounce activities and don't engage in devotional service, you're not going to achieve the desired result. You need to engage in serving the Supreme Lord. Everyone has to come to that point. Where someone who is engaged in devotional service, very quickly, they achieve the Supreme relative to all other practitioners and transcendentalists. In the purport to a Bhagavatam verse 4 to 6, Srila Prabhupada talks about fruitive activities, seeking sense gratification. And Prabhupada writes, fruitive activities seeking sense gratification are the cause for material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of misery, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about the nature of work for fruitive results. For as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of sense gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. So if we just discuss a little about material love, material life, and material gratification, as Prabhupada has pointed out, lust is like a rose. It looks beautiful on the outside, but there is always pain hidden somewhere. And yes, we made the point that what goes on in the material world as love is really lust. So lust will always lead to a painful end. It's just the nature of this material world. Life is like a coin. Pleasure and pain are two sides. Only one side is visible at a time. But remember the other side also waiting its turn. The duality is always there in the material world. And we find that the material world is plagued with this principle of Bhoga Tyag and Chapala Sukha. Bhoga Tyag means like a pendulum, going from one end to another. We can never only enjoy. We have to stop enjoyment, then enjoy. Then stop enjoyment, then enjoy. Just like if you had to tell someone, okay, I'm going to give you an eternal holiday. Someone may initially say very good, but actually after some time, they'll get so bored they'll want to work. Because why? Bhoga Tyaga, renouncing, enjoying, renouncing, enjoying. And this is how the material world fluctuates. And it also has Chapala Sukha, very flickering happiness. So sense gratification will always lead to suffering. It will always cycle in enjoying and renouncing. And it's very, very flickering. So as we mentioned, just as a fish out of water, we try to give some satisfaction to that fish. It is very, very insignificant, very flickering, and it will not satisfy. That is how material gratification in this world will never satisfy the deep intentions of the living entity. So you can study this on your own. We're not going to go into details, but renunciation is different in terms of, in relation to working in devotion. So for example, you'll find that renunciation is far more difficult and far more risky, whereas working in devotion is complete, it's easier, and there's guaranteed results. Renunciation takes many births, whereas work in devotion can be quickly achieved. We can quickly achieve the Supreme Lord through working in devotion. So like that, there's many wonderful benefits of devotional service compared to renunciation and Mayavadi sannyas. Then we come to section 2. Performance of Nishkam Karma, working with detachment. So the Lord has already discussed this, and he's going to just re-emphasize these points. So for 7 to 12, one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So if you really want to be dear to everyone in this world, here's the formula. You must work with devotion, That means work in relation to serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. Try to become pure. Control your mind and senses. And if you do this, you will become dear to everyone. And we see Srila Prabhupada as a classic example. Everyone loved Srila Prabhupada. And when they said, Srila Prabhupada, you love everyone, Prabhupada said, because I love everyone. They said, Srila Prabhupada, everyone loves you. And Prabhupada responded, because I love everyone. And why does Srila Prabhupada love everyone? Because Srila Prabhupada loves Krishna. When you love Krishna, you will love every part and parcel of Krishna. 8 and 9. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while sleeping, evacuating, receiving, and opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof of them. Now the Lord is bringing a very interesting perspective and point which he touched on in chapter 3 or 4, that you're not the doer. A person who is in divine conscious understanding, I'm the spirit soul. The spirit soul does not act. In fact, the spirit soul can only desire. And the material nature, which Krishna is going to tell us in this chapter as well, is doing everything. So someone who can see that, he sees with true knowledge and vision. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the result unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful actions, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So the secret is to act without attachment. And when you simply serve Krishna with all your mind, body, and words, with all your heart, then you simply act, leaving the result up to Krishna. In our daily activities, we simply act, leaving the result up to Krishna. But that doesn't mean that we do not act with full enthusiasm and that we are lazy. Nope, we still act with full enthusiasm for the pleasure of Krishna. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes a devil. Lord Krishna is making it very, very clear. If you act according to his advice, according to his instructions, you will achieve unadulterated peace. You will find that within your heart, deep within, you will feel so peaceful, so happy, so blissful, so inspired, so excited, because you are acting according to your constitutional position and in a way that's pleasing to Krishna. It's a very wonderful experience to be able to act with this knowledge and experience what Krishna is saying. In truth, you can genuinely experience that, whereas others will become entangled, filled with anxiety, stress, illness, eventually die to take birth again. In the purport to text 7, in regards to controlling the senses, Srila Prabhupada says, because one who works in Krishna consciousness is a servant to all. He is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in his consciousness. Because he is pure in his consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in the matter other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except the topics related to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. And he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. So very, very practical. We can understand our inside. What is our state of consciousness? Is it Krishna consciousness from how we're engaging our senses. The more we understand this, the more our activities, how we're engaging our senses, will be aligned to pleasing Krishna. And yes, it's a gradual process, but the quicker we do it, the more we will save ourselves from undue suffering. Section 3, the platform of knowledge, entanglement, knowing the three doers, the soul, material nature, and the supersoul. The Lord says, text 13, when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, this material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Text 14, the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So now the Lord is explaining more clearly what he's hinted few times, that it's not the spirit soul that's creating activities, inducing people to act, or even creating the fruits. No, it is the modes of material nature. So when people say it is by my hard blood and sweat that I've worked and accumulated so much wealth, no, it is the material, it is also the modes of material nature that have produced all this. Your involvement was simply a desire. That is all. You simply desired, the super soul sanctions, and the material modes, 3 modes of material nature, fulfilled everything. Text 15. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which Nishan is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. In the purport to text 14, Srila Prabhupada says, the living entity, as will be explained in the 17th chapter, is one in nature with the Supreme Lord, distinguished from matter, which is another nature called inferior of the Lord. However, somehow, the superior nature, the living entity, has been in contact with material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or material dwelling place which he has obtained is the cause of varieties of activities and the resultant reactions. Living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the results of the activities of the body by identifying himself in ignorance with the body. It is ignorance acquired from time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. As soon as the living entity becomes aloof from the activities of the body, he becomes free from the reactions as well. As long as he is in the city of the body, he appears to be the master of it, but actually he is neither its proprietor nor the controller of its actions and reactions. He is simply in the midst of the material ocean struggling for existence. The waves of the ocean are tossing him, and he has no control over them. His best solution is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness. That alone will save him from all the turmoil. Now, here the Lord has described that the modes of material nature, the 3 modes, mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness, are really doing everything. So how is this? Consider the living entity is in the region of the heart, 1/10,000 the tip of the hair. Now, if I to ask you, how many of you brushed your teeth today? How many of you brushed your teeth today? Please let me know in the chat whether you brushed your teeth today, this morning. Mukund said yes, Manohar said yes. Shyama said yes. Lalita said yes. Amrit said yes. Nimai said yes. Now, Sukadev Goswami said yes. Bhami said yes. What if I told you that you all did not brush your teeth? You did brush the body's teeth, not your teeth. Yes. Your teeth is situated where you are, in the region of the heart, 1/10,000th tip of the hair. Your brush is so big, it won't even get to your teeth. The soul does not have teeth. The soul does have teeth. The soul, in fact, you'll see Krishna's got teeth, right? He's got beautiful teeth that are like pearls, white shining pearls. If Krishna's got teeth, we got teeth. Even in the spiritual world, we have teeth. In the spiritual, your teeth don't decay. Coming back to the point, the soul has teeth, but your brush did not go into the region of the heart. Your brush went to the body's teeth. So you brushed the body's teeth. Similarly, the soul in the region of the heart, all he does is desire. So because the soul desires to brush the body's teeth, Krishna sanctioned. He's super soul. He's in the region of the heart. He sanctions, yes, you can brush your teeth, the body's teeth. So you are able to pick up with your hand, you are able to pick up the brush, put some toothpaste and brush. So in this way, Krishna sanctions the modes of material nature, then start and performs all the activities. All you did as the soul, you couldn't even hold the brush. Your hand had to hold the brush, or your body's hand had to hold the brush, right? So you are using your machine, which is this body, to perform all activities which are governed by the three modes of material nature, sanctioned by the super soul, and all you did to trigger it was your desire. Sometimes you'll notice that you desire, but the super soul does not sanction, and the modes of material nature will, with the demigods, will not allow your hand to move. That's called paralysis. Somebody may be paralyzed due to past karmic reaction. They're not meant to move their hands. So even though they desire, the modes of material nature and Krishna with the demigods will not sanction. So this is how we find that the modes are doing everything, not you, not the spirit soul. Consider this child. He wants to pick up these weights. Now it's impossible for him to pick up those weights. But guess what? He's got the desire. That is why he's there. So he's desiring to pick up those weights. That's all that's required. He simply has to desire. And guess what's going to happen? As soon as he desires, our Supreme Father, Krishna, will come like the father behind this child. And as the father comes behind the child and picks up the weights, guess what the child is going to be thinking? Oh, just see, I'm picking up the weights. I am so powerful. That's how we are influenced by ignorance and illusion in this material world. We see things happening, we see things created, and we thinking, oh, I'm picking up the weights, oh, I'm doing things, oh, just see how I'm so great, I'm so powerful. But actually it was all the power of Krishna through the modes of material nature. All you had to do, like this child, which is completely helpless, was simply desire. Then we come to section 4, liberation through focusing one's consciousness on the super soul. Krishna says in text 17, when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcast. Why? because he sees the spirit soul. He sees the Supreme Lord in every living entity. So therefore, he treats all living entities equally. That doesn't mean that he will go feed a lion, Krishna Prasad, because he knows that the lion may attack him. But he will treat all living entities in a way that's conducive for their Krishna conscious elevation. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So the Lord is sharing with us that we want to be equiposed. We want to see things equally. We want to not be disturbed. In the second chapter also, Krishna already told Arjuna, Matras Pashas to Kontena Shitoshna Shukadugada, Agamam Payunityas Tam Titikshas Bharata, that you need to tolerate the dualities of this material world. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is to be understood as already situated in transcendence. So very wonderful, so many aspects of spiritual evolution, spiritual conscious evolution, to know the Supreme Lord, to understand the science, to apply it so that we can live by these tenets and principles. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure or external objects, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Here's the secret of being happy, not just being happy, but being unlimitedly happy. And Krishna is saying we can enjoy that. How? Concentrate on the Supreme, focus on the Supreme. Remember, I told you the soul is there in the region of the heart, and Krishna, the super soul, is behind. The soul needs to turn to the Supreme. So when we start turning our attention to the Supreme, through engaging our senses for his pleasure, using our intelligence to understand him, trying to remember his glories, we will start relishing pleasure, because now we are looking for pleasure not externally through stimulating the senses, through sense objects, but turning inwards towards spirit, towards the spirit soul, towards the Supreme Spirit in devotion. And that's how the soul gets pleasure from within. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of miseries, which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasure has a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Such a profound statement. Krishna says an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery. Every facet of this material creation is a source of misery. Consider, a father goes and buys their daughter a beautiful doll, beautiful looking doll. Is that beautiful looking doll a source of misery? Is that beautiful looking doll a source of misery? Hemavati Radhika says yes, and she's correct. It is a source. Why? Because that doll is temporary. Just the fact that it's temporary, it's going to cause pain to the daughter. That doll may break. So it's a beautiful doll. The daughter gets attached to it. And Krishna's already explained that attachment will bring pain and pleasure. So the daughter becomes attached to the doll. It brings pleasure. Sooner or later, the doll breaks. The doll is lost. And there is pain. So therefore, Krishna says an intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery. And every aspect of this material nature is a source of misery, which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kun, such pleasure have a beginning and an end. So the wise man does not delight in them. Does that mean that we are, as devotees, are living in this material world, completely disgusted, unhappy, miserable, because we do not engage our senses in the sources of misery? No. In fact, the devotees are blissful. Why? Because we dovetail, we engage our senses in Krishna-related activities. So we eat wonderful Krishna prasad. We hear wonderful kirtan and glorification of Krishna. We see the beautiful forms of Radha and Krishna, Gonitai. So in this way, we're engaging all our senses in beautiful, wonderful, blissful service. We're getting spiritual pleasure, and therefore we are happy. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Before leaving this body, you want to be able to control the urges of the material senses. You want to be the master of your senses, not the other way around. You want to control the forces of desire and anger. Don't fulfill every whim that comes, every desire that comes into your consciousness, into your mind. Try to be the master of anger and only employ anger to protect the devotees of the Lord, to protect the deities of the Lord. Don't use anger for any sense gratification. And if you do this, Krishna says you are well situated and you are happy in this world. So many wonderful instructions Krishna is giving to us how we can be happy in this world. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually a perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. How much more clear do you want Krishna to be? To give us and has given us a clear roadmap on how to be happy in this world. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. And there are so many wonderful examples in the history of Krishna consciousness and the world. Here we find Narad Muni meeting Magrari the hunter. Magrari the hunter was very sinful, half killing animals. And when Narad Muni saw him, Narad Muni felt so much compassion for him and told him, stop this because you are going to suffer. And Narad Muni then revealed to him that if he, it's a long story, but he should break his bow and he should practice Krishna consciousness. And if he practices Krishna consciousness, Krishna will provide everything. And sure enough, he became a devotee. And we see on the right-hand side, he became a devotee. And in fact, one day when Narad Muni and Angira Rishi came to see him, after he had been practicing Krishna consciousness for a while, they saw Magrari the hunter, who was a hunter previously, and now he's a devotee. He was coming towards Narad Muni, his spiritual master, and he was jumping to and fro. And Magrari the hunter was surprised. Why is your disciple jumping? Angira Rishi was surprised. Why is your disciple jumping to and fro? And Narad Muni explained, just see, previously he was a hunter, he was half killing animals. And now he doesn't even want to kill the ants. Therefore, he's jumping and avoiding the ants. So this is the glory. This is how wonderful the process of Krishna consciousness can transform hunters into saintly persons. And we also can be transformed by this wonderful wisdom and transcendental wisdom that Krishna is giving Bhagavad-gita. If we apply it in our life, we will transform in many amazing, wonderful ways. In one sense, it's not really transformation, it's just our nature, true nature being revealed. In text 26, Krishna says, those who are free from anger, from all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. So we want to become free from all anger, all material desires, and try to dovetail, try to engage, be disciplined, be focused, and endeavor for becoming Krishna conscious. In the purport of this verse, Prabhupada quotes a beautiful verse and gives an analogy of meditation. There are three entities. One is the tortoise. The tortoise, it brings its offspring, it grows its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs are laid on land, and then the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. And just by the tortoise meditating on the eggs on the land, the eggs hatch. Similarly, fish, they bring up its offspring simply by looking at them. This is the power of nature. Birds maintain their offspring by touch. Like you find the birds will sit on the eggs, and in this way the eggs hatch. So Krishna says similarly, a devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of Krishna, him constantly, and by engaging in Krishna consciousness. Simply by engaging in Krishna consciousness, by us thinking of Krishna, we become nourished like these different species. Krishna also is meditating on those who think of him. So by engaging Krishna consciousness, even though Krishna is apparently far away, Krishna is also non-different from his activities, his holy name, his pastimes, his instructions. So he's actually there. Then Krishna talks about liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. This is a preview. Section 5 is going to link to section 6 or chapter 6. Krishna says, shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. Transcendentalist aim at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So here the Lord is introducing the subject of Ashtanga Yoga. The Lord discussed Karma Yoga. He then talked about Sakam, he talked about Nishkam, he talked about analytical study, Jnana Yoga, renunciation, and now the Lord is talking about Ashtanga Yoga. He's not recommending it, but he's presenting it as an alternative which is there for those who are qualified, especially in Satya Yuga. People were qualified to practice for 60,000 years, Ashtanga Yoga. For us, Bhakti Yoga, which is the goal and the most practical means of perfecting our life, is what we should embrace. Here's a chart. We're not going to go into detail. Ashtanga Yoga, which is originally given by Patanjali, has 8 different limbs to it. In today's world, most people just focus on asana, the 3rd limbs, which is poses. Some of them do pranayama, which is the 4th. Very few people start with 1, progress to 2. 1 is yama, 5 restraints, ahimsa, non-hurting, non-violence, satya, not lying, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, sense control, celibacy, and aparigraha, non-possessiveness. So very few really practice Ashtanga Yoga in the way they're supposed to for achieving full absorption samadhi, which is the goal. Most people just perform a hatha yoga for keeping healthy, having a attractive body to attract the opposite gender. That's not yoga. That's not that's not Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is a bona fide process meant to be practiced so that you can regulate yourself, follow the yamas, follow the niyamas, do the asanas, pranayamas, slowly get pratyahara, then dharana, then dhyana, and finally samadhi, full absorption, which the Lord is describing here, that if one is fully absorbed on super soul, then one can achieve it. And finally, concluding verse, the peace formula on the platform of liberation, text 29. This is the peace formula which we should memorize and live by. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gnatva mam shantim richati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and a benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. If everybody in this world wants peace, if we want peace, this is the peace formula. Outside this peace formula, no one will find complete peace. You may get some drips and drabs, be peaceful temporarily here and there. But if you want true peace, then you have to understand and follow this verse. If we live by this verse, even if we don't collectively do this, just individually, if I live by this verse, I'll be peaceful. And collectively in a family, if we do this, we will be peaceful. Collectively, as all families in a society, if we do this, we'll be peaceful. And then if all societies in a country, the country will be peaceful. And if all countries come together and live by this verse, we will be peaceful. If all the planets in this universe follow this, we will become peaceful. So a person in full consciousness of me, no one else but Krishna is saying, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice, everything is meant for pleasing Krishna, because he's the ultimate source. He's the supreme lord of all planets and demigods. Therefore, he's the root, and we water the root. He's the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Krishna is the Supreme Father. He's the well-wisher of every living entity. If we accept this, surrender to this, then we attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. And thus ends this wonderful chapter, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. When we apply the knowledge that Krishna has shared to us, with us, and embody the teachings, apply it in our life, we will get the result. In the first verse of Bhagavad-gita, Srila Prabhupada said Bhagavad-gita is a theistic science, which means that if you practice the science of Bhagavad-gita, you will get the results that Krishna is stating here. Why? Because it is scientific. Anyone can apply the process, the knowledge that Krishna is saying, and we will get the results. And we should be excited. We should be happy that the Lord has given us this knowledge through disciplic succession, through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and we should take it upon ourselves to seriously try to apply these teachings in our life and become embodied beings living by these teachings to be inspiration to others. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any question right now, or we can take that tomorrow in the feedback? I'll just maybe take one or two questions if anybody has.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Ramapriya Mataji.
Just with reference to verse number 14, where we say that everything is done by the modes of nature, and you use the example of brushing our teeth. So now when we get sick, how is that explained?
So when you get sick, so remember, even if you take that aspect of when I get sick, you really don't get sick. When I say you, meaning the soul is never influenced. In the second chapter, Krishna already told us the soul can never be withered by wind, cut by any weapon, destroyed by fire, wet by water. So the soul is not really sick. What happens is the body gets malfunction, the body is ill, and because I'm attached to the body due to false ego, I'm thinking I'm this body, I feel sick. But actually you're not sick. And the illness and the activities, everything is arranged by the three modes. So the three modes are actually doing everything. Even your sickness is arranged by the three modes. Your wellness is arranged by the three modes. The three modes of material nature is influencing material nature, influencing matter. And the soul, conditioned soul, because he's thinking, I am this body, therefore he's thinking that I am doing things and I'm influenced by matter. But the soul is completely aloof of matter. The soul is transcendental, and we already covered in the fourth chapter, Krishna explained. Even in the fifth chapter, Krishna said that the soul is spiritual. In fact, even in the seventh chapter, Krishna is going to tell us the soul is spiritual, higher than the soul, or rather, if you take it from the beginning, the senses, higher than the senses is the mind. Higher than the mind is the intelligence. Higher than intelligence is ego. And then we get the soul. So the soul is really spiritual and not material. But because of our attachments to this material body and things related to the body, we experience this. We experience it. Ramapriya, we didn't get it?
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm having connections problem, but I do understand now. But I just needed, especially now with the COVID happening, I just try to put that using the modes of nature to answer that question.
Yes. So remember, we should not pretend we liberated. Yes. Like, for example, someone may think, okay, let's say when a devotee is sick. When a devotee is sick, we shouldn't say, oh yeah, Prabhu, don't worry, you're not sick, you're the spirit soul, you never get sick. No, Krishna is giving us an opportunity to help and serve that devotee's body. Why? Because that body, in the conditioned state, we are thinking, I get hungry. When I fast on Janmashtami, my stomach is growling, I'm feeling weak. So I feel weak. I need food. I need energy because I'm conditioned. But Krishna does not disqualify us. Krishna said, no problem. You can still serve the devotee's body and thereby get benefit. We can feed this body, prasadam, and get spiritual benefit. So we should not artificially transcend. We should purify our life and gradually transcend. And whenever we have devotees who are ill or difficulty, we have the opportunity to help them and serve them. I hope that's clear. So we should take precautions because we are not liberated yet. In fact, when you chant the holy name can protect you from all dangers because it is Krishna. But depending on our faith and depending on our commitment to the holy name will reciprocate. Hemanti,
thank you, Prabhu.
Said, if we are not doers, then who takes responsibility for our actions? Very nice question. So if we're not doing things and the material modes are doing things, so let's consider, right? I'm going to give an example. I'm driving a car and I'm under influence. I have drunk liquor. So I'm drunk and I meet in an accident. So because I meet in an accident under influence, liquor, when the police finds me, I can say, but listen, I didn't cause the accident. The liquor caused the accident. They're not going to take that as a valid excuse. They're going to put me in jail. They're going to fine me. Why? Because it is I who allowed, due to my choice, free will, to drink liquor. So I drank the liquor, which then caused the influence, which then caused the accident. Similarly, it is I who desired. And because I desired, under the influence of the modes of material nature, action is carried out. Krishna will not say, oh, the modes of material nature carried it out, therefore we'll punish the modes. No, it was because of your choice, your free will, that you desired. And because you desired, you got this material body. You got the end result of whatever it is. Therefore, you take the consequence. Krishna has just made the arrangements to fulfill all your desires through the modes of material nature, the demigods, the super soul, material energy. So the facility Krishna has provided so that you can be under influence or above influence. If you're under influence, you're conditioned soul. If you're above influence, you're a liberated soul. And the liberated soul is under the spiritual nature, not the material nature. So you cannot pass the buck. Unfortunately, you are responsible. And why? Because you triggered the reaction by your desire. That is why you'll find very often throughout the Bhaktivedanta purports in the scriptures, also Srila Prabhupada quotes, for you to go back to the spiritual world is very, very, very easy. All you have to do is change your desire. If you change your desire, you change everything else. But because desire, we've been desiring for billions and billions and billions and billions of lifetimes to enjoy separately from Krishna. I've been desiring for billions and billions that this is me. Then it becomes very difficult to change a desire. Therefore, I need good association to change a desire. But once I change a desire, then I'm liberated. All right. Any other questions?
Prabhu,
Yes,
yeah,
Mukund.
Prabhu, quick question. Yeah. If so, now you're saying desire. So is desire more powerful than action? Or I don't know how to put it. Like,
Yes.
so if you desire like something.
So desire comes before
okay.
action. The only thing the soul can do right now, consider, right? You in the region of the heart, 1/10,000 top of the hair, you in the heart. All you can do from there, from where you are situated currently, all you can do is desire. Just like, consider you sitting in Brits and I'm sitting here in Gauteng. There's absolutely nothing you can do to me right now here while you in Brits. Right? Just like you can't send me a kachori. You can't serve me anything from Brits because there's too far. But through internet, we can communicate, and that internet is giving us this facility to communicate. Similarly, the soul is in the region of the heart. He's so tiny, he can't do anything in terms of practical activities in this world. But Krishna's given him the internet connection. That internet connection is he desires, and then through the network of the modes of material nature sanctioned by the super soul and then the demigods, action is carried out. So this is how, it's like a virtual reality through the modes of material nature. And all that you had to do was desire. And this is why you'll find scripture regularly, so very often says that but this material world is temporary, it's illusory. Why? Because in fact, the soul is simply desiring and material nature is doing things. Our real existence is outside in the spiritual world, outside the material world, in the spiritual world. Look at it another way. When you sleep, when you go rest, and you start dreaming, you find very often you're living that dream, you're experiencing the dream, and you may even, certain feelings may even filter through the physical plane. You may perspire, you may, like a child sees a nightmare in his dream, attacked by a lion, they scream. But you had a full, you were seeing things, everything in your dream like it was real. When you wake up, what happened to it? I remember very clearly, very graphically, when I was at home, I was small, maybe like under 10 years old, and I had a dream. So in the dream, I went to the shop, I purchased some sweets, I came home, I opened my mother's sewing drawer, I put the sweets in there, and I closed the door. In the morning when I got up, guess what I did? I ran to the sewing machine. I opened the drawer and I said, I knew I put my sweets here. Somebody stole my sweets. And I complained to the whole family, somebody took my sweets. In the meantime, it was in my dreams. So that happens exactly in a living state. Right now, believe it or not, we are in a dream state. And it will be very difficult to comprehend this with our mundane intelligence. The more we become Krishna conscious, this slowly becomes revelation. You will begin to see it more and more and more, and you'll begin to understand. And then you'll say, my goodness, wow, was I really covered? Gee, this is far out. Yeah. So right now, don't think too much about it. For now, all we have to do is eat prasad, chant Hare Krishna, engage in devotional service, and leave the rest to Krishna.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Because it is a bewildering topic that Krishna covers. Who's the doer? And certain things we cannot understand, put it in the back burner. As we mature and our consciousness become more acute in Krishna consciousness, then we'll be able to appreciate and understand it. But just accept that the soul can only desire right now, not act. The acting is done through the modes of material nature, through the vehicle, the body. Okay, it's 9:30. We will end here. If you have any other further questions, please note them down and we'll take them tomorrow during our feedback session. Thank you very much for your time. We hope you all will have a wonderful year tomorrow. 2021 is coming. And if we apply Krishna consciousness in our life, then whether it's 2020, whether it's 2019, whether it's 2021, your life will always be blissful. In the spiritual world, it's always a festival. It's always a holy day because the spiritual world is holy. Therefore, it's always a holy day. Let us surrender to Bhagavad-gita, and in this way, we will have a holy day every day. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Prabhu, is there a class tomorrow? Just checking in with you.
There will be class tomorrow. We will complete chapter 6.
Okay. Will it be the same Zoom link? Because I think the one that you posted only showed till the 31st. So if you could just...
Okay. I'll change. I'll just extend it here. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you.
All right.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.